Hi, everybody. My name is Danny Nzueto. I'm the Assistant Director of Member Engagement and Regional Initiatives with NASPA, also part of your first-time attendee committee. Very excited to have you with us and to join us for a little bit of a discussion, hopefully share some resources that will be helpful for you all, and give some of the other attendees an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into a little bit of our presentation.
So, hi guys, I'm Daniel Allen. I am a residential learning coordinator at Winthrop University and on the first time attendees committee, and looking forward to the conference. It's only, what, 20 some days out, or is it less than that now? I think it's 20 some days out. So yeah, good. I'm looking forward to being in San Antonio.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Miladis. I am also a NASPA staff liaison working with the First Time Attendee Committee. I serve as our training coordinator within our Bacchus initiatives and very excited to be working with our member engagement team on this initiative.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Crimmin. I'm the Senior Vice President, Chief Academic and Student Affairs Officer at Becker College in Worcester, Mass. And I am serving as the 2017 Conference Chair.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. So we'll kick into our little presentation. We've done our introductions, but it wouldn't be a student affairs presentation if we didn't have some kind of an icebreaker, an opportunity to share a great memory. So either, if anybody wants to kick off, but maybe share kind of a favorite NASPA memory from previous experiences, and then what you're most excited about for 2017.
Favorite NASPA memory. There's a lot of them. I think one for me, I'll just jump in, was hearing Condoleezza Rice in Chicago. And that was probably, wow, 6 years, maybe 7 years ago now. And she was just amazing. And I remember walking in as a featured speaker. She was in a really large room. And I remember walking in early because I figured, oh, I got to get there early to get a seat. And I ended up on the floor. And I was happy to do that because I just wanted to be in the room. And there were so many people. It was just wall to wall people on both sides. Every chair was full. We were sitting 3 or 4 deep on the floor in the back of the room, and nobody minded. We all just sat and listened, and she was an amazing speaker. So that's the first one that comes to mind for me.
Okay. I've only attended one NASPA conference, and that was last year. And I remember walking in to NASPA, and this was in Indianapolis. And I remember walking into the convention center and just being immediately overwhelmed because there were, what, 6,500 people last year in total, I think, sounds about right. And walking into the convention center, and it is just wall-to-wall people, and I am immediately overwhelmed. I have no idea where to go and what to do, and eventually I run into Dr. Ardiolo, who's my vice president for student affairs, within 10 minutes of being there. So in this crowd of people, I run into him. He introduces me to someone else, and by the end of the first-time attendee orientation, I have met 20 people that I have swapped business cards with. And I wasn't alone from then on because I knew those 20 people and I saw them throughout the conference and checked in on them and just wondered how they were doing. I think we ended up going to the vendor fair in the middle. And so that was a lot of fun. But like I said, I just remember coming in, being lost, and then immediately having a sense of belonging. And that was pretty awesome for me.
For me, my first NASPA annual conference was in Phoenix in 2012. John Legend was the opening keynote there, and he gave a great performance, during sort of that opening session. But when I think back to 2012, when I think back to my first annual conference, the theme that comes to mind is community. I was a member of the NASPA Undergraduate Fellows Program, or the NUF program, back in 2012. And I was still in my undergraduate career. I thought maybe student affairs would be fun. I thought I wanted to find a job that would let me do icebreakers for a living. I found it. And being able to go to NASPA and being able to attend the conference was one of those amazing experiences for me. And that kind of really solidified the career path that I was going to go on to. And I think part of that was finding that community feeling like, hey, this is 6 degrees of separation. You know, someone knows someone who knows someone else, so on and so forth. And then going back to NASPA the year after and seeing those same people and realizing it's not necessarily 6 degrees of separation. It's like 1 or 2 degrees of separation at that point. So the community piece and the fact that NASPA sort of helped solidify my own career path is what was important for me.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite memories was my first year as staff. So attending Orlando was my first conference. Baltimore was my first conference that I actually worked with staff. And it was very interesting having gotten the opportunity to see the conference as an attendee and then to see it as a staff member. I'm a big fan of how things work and how they come together. So that's always been one of my favorite times, of just kind of getting a little behind the scenes. I think to Daniel's point of being overwhelmed, it's just as overwhelming when you're on the staff side because there's so many moving pieces, but it's always really exciting. And then what I'm excited most for 2017, and we can circle back, is being in San Antonio. I've never been in San Antonio. I'm excited to be back with my, NASPA family, my community of regional folks. I work with the region, so it's always exciting when I get to see them and to be in a new city and to experience everything it has to offer.
Yeah, so something to what you said, Danny. I'm excited this year because I get to be actually a part of the conference because last year I was a participant, I was an attendee, and I had a great time. And now I get to learn a lot more of what goes on behind the scenes and what goes on throughout the conference and the inner workings of it. So I'm looking forward to this new perspective on NASPA as an organization and the conference as a whole.
Well, I'll go. I'm looking forward to everything. It's been almost 2 years in the making, and working with some really amazing people on the conference leadership committee, and just really looking forward to seeing the whole thing come together. The NASPA staff has been incredible, and the major speakers and the featured speakers that we have are just going to be amazing. So it's overwhelming in a good way. So I'm really, really just excited to be there, be on site finally, and start ticking off everything that's on my schedule. Yep, doing that. Yep, doing that. And yep, there's Anderson Cooper. And oh my goodness. And Bree Newsom. And I had a conversation with Chris Mosher on the phone early last week, and he's amazing. I'm going to be speaking to a couple of our other speakers this week. So just really looking forward to it. I'm just so excited about the whole thing, start to finish. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think of what I'm most excited about for the NASPA annual conference. I think part of the reason why is, yes, we have some things that repeat from year to year, like session blocks or coffee breaks in the exhibit hall. But even when we have repeating different types of events, we still find ways to innovate that. We still find ways to make them a little bit new, a little bit different, ways that we can approach this in a unique manner. So I am always excited about going to the NASPA annual conference, yes, to see people who I know before, but to see what are the new spins that we're putting on to some of the different activities, whether it be the ways that we're going to track sessions at this conference or the ways that we're going to engage with first-time attendees. I'm just super excited to sort of have a new conference experience, even though this will be my 6th annual conference I've been able to attend.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time, and I think, Nancy, I'm excited about Chris Mosher as well. I had an Instagram like from Chris when I posted about the featured speakers and who I was excited to see, and I got all excited. I'm like, ooh, I like my picture. So just to walk you through a little bit of some of the first-time attendee sessions, and then Nancy afterwards, if you want to highlight some other pieces on the conference, that would be helpful. for attendees, so for our first-time attendees, we do have a full set of programming available for you. A lot of the things that we do are to try and engage you before the conference, through our first-time attendee Facebook page, these question and answer hours, as well as through blogs that we write and different things in the Facebook group as well. But at the conference, we're also going to have a lot of opportunities for you to get engaged. So we do a first-time attendee orientation on Sunday. It's going to be from 3 to 4 p.m. in the Convention Center in Hemisphere C3. You'll have an opportunity to meet with 400 to 500 other first-time attendees. It's actually pretty exciting when you look at the numbers. First-time attendees, on average, are making up about a third of all attendees for the conference. So I think we just capped over 2,000 attendees that have identified as first-time attendees. So you are not alone in your experience, and you should be very excited to be a part of the first-time attendee group that's going to be in San Antonio. For anyone who is coming in Sunday evening and may miss our orientation, we do a mini orientation on Monday morning. So from 7:30 to 8 o'clock before the session start, you can come and we will give you a kind of condensed version of what you should expect for the rest of the conference. We do have a first-time attendee networking social that we'll be doing Monday evening. So an opportunity to kind of get out of the busy of the conference. We'll have you in a separate space. We'll have an opportunity for you to engage with other first-time attendees, catch up on what's happened in the past 24, 48 hours. We'll have some swag and some raffle items from NASPA and some of our campus partners. Just an opportunity to kind of re-engage, get ready for an exciting rest of your day. We'll also talk about the Communities and Grad Prep Fair, what's going to be involved in that space, and we'll actually all walk over together because it's right after our networking social. And then we'll close out with our conference debrief on Tuesday. So we want to reflect on your first-time attendee experience. We want to know how that was, how your conference experience was, so that we can continue to make it better year after year. Nancy, I don't know if you have any specific highlights that you'd like to share with everybody for the conference generally.
Well, I think, we've talked a little bit about the featured speakers. We've mentioned them. I would definitely encourage first-time attendees to, first of all, attend these events, the orientation, the social, and the debrief, to discuss your experience, because that helps us plan for next year and moving forward. But right from that very first thing at the orientation, that's when you start meeting people. So if you have business cards, to bring your business cards. If you don't have business cards, make up something and bring them with you so that you can start connecting with people, and put your social media information on there as well, because you'll start seeing those connections happen almost immediately. I think, like Daniel was talking about. The other thing is the featured speakers. I would definitely encourage you, any first-time attendee, to go to the featured speakers presentations. And if you're with some other people from your institution, to kind of take a look at the session blocks that aren't featured speakers, and maybe try and coordinate going to different types of sessions or different sessions, so that you're all not from the same institution going to the same session, because then you can share and bring everything back to your institution a little bit more holistically than if everybody goes to the same one. Now, certainly if there's a common interest, obviously do that. But if possible, if you're with other people from your institution, to really branch out. So that's another thing. And the most important thing, I would say, is to volunteer. To get right on Volunteer Central, right through the webpage. And maybe, Danny, you could explain that before we sign off, of how to do that. And to volunteer for as many blocks as you possibly can. You get to meet so many people. You get to meet other volunteers, but you get to meet the presenters for that session sometimes. You get to meet some conference committee members. Sometimes you might work directly with some NASPA staff people that you might not have had the opportunity to meet with. I know that there are particular things happening in the exhibit hall that we're going to need dedicated volunteers to really help us with, and those are going to be really exciting opportunities. So I would just say volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. You will not regret it. I've never heard anyone say that they had a bad experience from volunteering. So those are my big things. Featured speakers, going to all the FTA events and sessions, and volunteering. And if you can go to different sessions than the people that you're at the conference with.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. Yes, I'll show up on here as well. Our Volunteer Central is a fantastic place for you to get involved. So it's NASPA/about, get involved and volunteer. When you click here and to learn more, you'll be taken to our sign-up page, and you'll want to click on the Volunteer for 2017 conference. And you'll see all of the options that we have available for you to sign up. So you can click through anything that has a checkbox. That means we still have some open slots. But there are lots of opportunities for you to get engaged. We also have a volunteer table on site. So if you don't see something, you can always just show up and say, hey, I'd love to give some time. Let me know where I can help. And we will definitely be happy to take the opportunity to work with you and to engage. It's a great way to connect with people. And then maybe next year you get to be a part of the first time attendee committee because of your volunteer work, and you can be doing these awesome videos. So some of the other things that we wanted to talk about as you get ready, just general frequently asked questions. Some things that we can share with you. We can also use the Facebook page for continued engagement and our blogs for other conversations that we've had. But if anybody wants to share any packing tips that you have getting ready for the conference.
Sure. One thing I would recommend to pack, besides a whole box of business cards, are some snacks. You never know when you're going to come across a time and you might get busy and really be enjoying the conference and totally forget about a meal. So just have something on hand to snack on and to get you through to your next meal, just in case that happens. And it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Mm-hmm. So just something to think about when you guys are going around with your conference, especially if it's your first time at any conference and not just a NASPA one. I've learned that the hard way, and a conference is no fun with a rumbly stomach.
I know that one thing I've learned is to pack comfortable shoes. And I traditionally don't do that because I prefer to wear heels. And there's been more than one conference where I've had to run out and actually find someplace to buy flats. So now I have my conference flats that I have in my bag because sometimes things are pretty far apart. And so for me, that just makes sense. So to pack comfortable shoes, I think, is one of my suggestions.
Yeah, and for me, I think kind of echoing both Daniel and Nancy's points is comfort is definitely important for me. So Daniel obviously mentioned food and Nancy mentioning shoes and footwear. Knowing that it's going to be San Antonio and there's a pretty decent chance it's going to be a little warmer outside. We are going to a warmer climate for this specific conference. Keeping that in mind, but then also being mindful that in convention and conference spaces, air conditioning gets to be turned on and there's not too many windows and you're not getting the nice breeze from outside. It might be a little chillier in those spaces. So do you have layers that you can take on and off just to make sure that you're comfortable in whatever space that you're in? And a tip that I always like to give people, especially maybe for some first-time attendees who are trying to meet others, I always like some campus swag. Do you have a lapel pin from your institution? Do you have a polo shirt that has your institution's logo on it? That kind of it shows some institutional pride, and you'll often be surprised at how many people say, oh, you were at Georgetown, I was at a Jesuit institution as well, let's talk about that. And that can sort of maybe be a jumping off point for someone. And it's very easily identifiable if you are wearing some of your own sort of campus's swag. That's sort of my own piece. I know that there'll be an array of different types of dress style, I would say, during the conference. Before the conference, during the placement exchange, you'll see a lot of folks in sort of this business professional piece, but then you'll see some folks in maybe some khakis and some more business casual during the conference. So, whatever you're comfortable with in terms of the style of dress, for me, it's more about making sure that you're comfortable. And then, like I said, being able to utilize your outfit maybe as sort of a talking point or to get your elevator pitch off the ground.
I love the swag idea. That's great. One of the engagement tips from one of the committee members is called Route 99. Obviously, it's the 99th conference. And so if you look back at the blogs on the webpage, there's information from Ricky Salazar UNLV, UNLV, I think so. And he talks about wearing your campus swag while you're traveling to the conference. And actually, I did that last year just because it was the sweatshirt I was wearing, and met someone in the taxi line who had a Res Life shirt on from another institution. And hey, you going to the conference? Yeah, we shared a cab to the same hotel. And that's the point with this, is wear your swag as you're traveling, because everybody's traveling right in the same couple days. You might meet people on the road or when you get to the airport. And that's kind of fun too. So I love the swag idea.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other piece I'd add with packing tips is pack for your whole trip. So we normally think of what we're doing on site at the event. So I have to wear my suit, I have to wear my business casual, I have to wear this. But at a certain point, the conference is going to be over for the day, or your experience is going to be over for the day, and you're going to want to explore San Antonio. I think to JM's point of, maybe dress a little bit warmer. I'm a native Floridian. I get cold in 70-degree weather. So I always have a sweater. I think it's thinking through the entire trip, not just what you're doing during the day. So make sure you plan on some more casual clothes, some things that are a little bit more comfortable, so you can explore the city and engage and enjoy the other opportunities that are available. I think as we transition over, and I think the swag comment is a great place to also talk about that, about meeting others and continued engagement. So, recognizing that you as a first-time attendee are one of 2,100 that's going to be attending the conference, that it's okay for you to connect with that group, to find that as a space where you're meeting people, but also recognizing student affairs as a whole is probably one of the few places I know that I've experienced professionally where you can just walk up to someone and say, "Hi, I don't know anyone. Can you talk to me about what's going on here?" And they will. And I think it's felt even more when you're at the conference. So it's perfectly okay to talk to someone and say, "What's going on? I'm from here and I'd like to talk to you about something. I like your lapel pin," or "I think you seem like someone that people keep telling me I should meet," and go and meet them. I think the conference staff, we're going to be pretty easy for us to spot. We'll be wearing NASPA polos. They're usually fairly bright. So you're always welcome to come and engage with us, and we're always happy to make connections and introduce you to people. If anybody else has other tips on meeting people or engaging.
Yeah. I always am a fan of sort of, breaking the ice little by little. I think back to sort of my first annual conference, and utilized the social media and the Twitter back channel for the conference. So all the way back there, hashtag NASPA 12. Now that I think about it, now we're on NASPA 17. Seeing how people are engaging in sort of that back channel of the Twitter universe, or now we have obviously Instagram and Facebook posts and a lot of other types of social media and other ways to engage. But there were people who I saw tweet and I would retweet them, or they would retweet me. And then I'd be walking down the hallway and be like, "I know you." I'm trying to think where I know you from. It's like, "Oh yes, I know you from Twitter." And that was sort of a way that I was able to engage with folks, started off in sort of that social media sphere, a social media realm. And we got to talking back and forth. And yes, it could be just, at mentions as a way to sort of begin to meet someone, but then you can maybe sort of develop that relationship a little bit deeper, because I'm an introvert, and it's great because I have a job that makes me talk in front of people for a living, but I'm a big introvert, and I'd like to sort of ease my way into those conversations. I don't know if I could just walk up to someone and say, "Hi, I need friends. Would you like to be mine?" But if I start talking to you online, if we can sort of find this connection between the two of us, that's sort of my own style and the way that I would like to engage with folks.
Yeah, I think that's great, JM, because I'm very similar to that, in that unless it takes up a lot of courage and a lot of energy to walk up to somebody and say, "I don't know you, but how are you doing?" And, "Oh yeah, what's your name?" So one thing that I did last year that was that I thought was very successful is you hear about the business card exchange and all of that. One thing that I wanted to do is remember what we talked about and contact them later and do a follow-up email, so the continued engagement piece. So after I had a conversation with the person who I just traded business cards with, I jotted a few notes on the back that said, "Hey, we talked about a residential curriculum," or "We talked about a crazy programming idea for late night programming or something to that effect. And later on, when you send follow-up emails, you can say, hey, it was great to meet you. I'd love to get some more thoughts on your late night programming idea. What more can you tell me about it? Was it successful? And what would you say for someone who is trying to plan that? And that way you get, not only do you meet others, but you have that continued engagement piece outside of the conference. And that's how you build your network in student affairs, or one way at least.
I think to James' point about the back channels, I do want to make sure that you all know about our Facebook group for first-time attendees. Make sure that you're tweeting with NASPA 17. We have NASPA tweets, NASPA snaps, NASPA pics. You can really find this anywhere. We hope to continue getting engaged with you all. I do want to share with you as well our first-time attendee page. There's a lot of resources on here on the conference page. So from engage and volunteer, you can click into first-time attendees. You'll see a little bit of background. We'll update this with other first-time attendee Q&As as they come through. Specifically focused on first-time attendee sessions. So you'll see we have our attendee lounge, as well as for anyone who watches this, if you are a faculty member or a vice president of student affairs, we welcome you to attend. We do have a faculty-specific orientation that's going to be hosted by our faculty council, and a VPSA orientation that'll take place in the VPSA lounge for VPSAs by VPSAs. As well as we do have some first-time attendee specific blogs, and then you can engage with any of us on the first-time attendee committee. And then here's the link for the Facebook group if you'd like to join. We welcome everyone in that group. I'd love to open this up for any final thoughts from our committee.
No, I just would like to say that we're very excited. I'm so thrilled with the numbers of first-time attendees that we have right now, and I'm sure it's going to grow. But please, if you see me walking around, to stop me and say hello, introduce yourself, tell me that you're a first-time attendee. I am going to be coming to the orientation on Sunday. And so you'll see me again then, but at any time during the conference, if I'm walking around and you see me, please stop me, say hello, introduce yourself. We can swap business cards. I can hear about your conference experience. You can ask questions. It'd be great. I'd love to meet as many of you as possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in San Antonio. So have a great night.